Good evening and welcome to our daily devotional reading. Goeiemorgen. I hope you had a good day. I hope you're ready to relax and calm down and take care of yourself. I hope you have time and energy to do that, to take care of yourself. Let's quiet down, sink into the stillness. Try to feel your heartbeat. Try to feel your breath, in your body especially. And try maybe throughout the reading to stay conscious of this breathing that you're doing. While we listen to Plato. Stranger, and now we shall only be proceeding in due order if we go on to divide the sphere of knowledge. The other translation has theoretical knowledge explicitly. The Greek is the one called gnostikos. Gnostikos. I imagine that's what we know as gnosis. Gnostikos. Young Socrates. Very good. Stranger. Think whether you can find any joint or parting in this knowledge. Young Socrates. Tell me of what sort? Stranger. Such as this. You may remember that we made an art of calculation. Yes, which was unmistakably one of the arts of theoretical knowledge. I insert the theoretical from the other translation because I do think it clarifies things. There are so many different types of knowledge in Greek. Young Socrates. Certainly. Stranger. And to this art of calculation which discerns the differences of numbers, shall we assign any other function except to pass judgment on their differences? How could we? You know that the master builder does not work himself, but is the ruler of workmen. Yes. He contributes knowledge, not manual labor. True. And may therefore be justly said to share in theoretical science. Knowledge, the other one says. So I looked it up as well, this, and it's almost like it's knowledge. It's gnostiken epistemes, which if you take the two together, the translation reads as cognitive science, because gnostikos can also be cognition. Young Socrates. Quite true. Stranger. But he ought not, like the calculator, to regard his functions at an end. When he has formed a judgment, he must assign to the individual workman their appropriate task until they have completed the work. True. Stranger. Are not all such sciences, no less than arithmetic and the like, subjects of pure knowledge, and is not the difference between the two classes that the one sort has the power of judging only, and the other of ruling as well? That is evident. May we not very properly say that of all knowledge there are two divisions, one which rules and the other which judges? I should think so. And when men have anything to do in common, that they should be of one mind is surely a desirable thing. Very true. Then while we are at unity among ourselves, we need not mind about the fancies of others. Certainly not. And now in which of these divisions shall we place the king? Is he a judge and a kind of spectator? Or shall we assign to him the art of command? For he is a ruler. The latter, clearly. Then we must see whether there is in any mark of division. Then we must see whether there is any mark of division in the art of command, too. I am inclined to think that there is a distinction similar to that of manufacturer and retail dealer. Which part of the king, which parts the king off from the herald? How is this? Why does not the retailer receive and sell over again the productions of others, which have been sold before? Certainly he does. And is not the herald under command, and does he not receive orders, and in his turn give them to others? Very true. Then shall we mingle the kingly art in the same class with the art of the herald, the interpreter, the boatswain, the prophet, and the numerous kindred arts which exercise command? Or, as in the preceding comparison we spoke of manufacturers or sellers for themselves, and of retailers, seeing too that the class of supreme rulers, or rulers for themselves, is almost nameless, shall we make a word following the same analogy, and refer kings to a supreme or ruling for self, science, knowledge, leaving the rest to receive the name from someone else? For we are seeking the ruler, and our inquiry is not concerned with him who is not a ruler. Very good. Thus a very fair distinction has been attained between the man who gives his own commands and him who gives another's. And now let us see if the supreme powers allow of any further division. By all means. I think it does, and please to assist me in making the division. At what point? May not all rulers be supposed to command for the sake of producing something? The other translation has command for the sake of something coming into being. And indeed, The Greek is, as we know it, Genesis, original source. So rulers be supposed to command for the sake of something coming into being. Genesis. Certainly. Nor is there any difficulty in dividing the things produced into two classes. How would you divide them? Of the whole class, some have life and some are without life. True. And by the help of this distinction, we may make, if we please, a subdivision of the section of knowledge which commands. At what point? One part may be set over the production of lifeless, the other of living objects. And in this way the whole will be divided. Certainly. That division then is complete. And now we may leave one half and take up the other, which may also be divided into two. Which of the two halves do you mean? Of course, that which exercises command about animals, living creatures, the other translation says, and indeed the Greek can be animals or a living being. For surely the royal science is not like that of the master workman, a science presiding over lifeless objects. The king has a nobler function, which is the management and control of living beings. True. And the breeding and tending of living beings may be observed to be sometimes a tending of the individual, in other cases a common care of creatures in flocks. This common care of creatures in flock, the common, I thought was an interesting word. Koinos. If you have a Christian background, you might know it as koinonia, community, together. True, but the statesman is not a tender of individuals, not like the driver or groom of a single ox or a horse. He is rather to be compared with the keeper of a drove of horses or oxen. Yes, I see, thanks to you. The other one I thought was pretty modern. Well, yes, I see now that you mention it. Stranger. Shall we call this art of tending many animals together the art of managing a herd, or the art of collective management? Young Socrates. No matter, whichever suggests itself to us in the course of the conversation. Stranger. Very good, Socrates. And if you continue to be not too particular about names, remember this is the younger Socrates, so a little boy who shares Socrates' name. No relation otherwise to Socrates, the teacher of Plato. Stranger. Very good, Socrates. And if you continue to be not too particular about names, you will be all the richer in wisdom when you are an old man. And now, as you say, leaving the discussion of the name, can you see a way in which a person, by showing the art of herding to be of two kinds, may cause that which is not sought amongst twice the number of things to be then sought amongst half that number? Young Socrates. I will try. There appears to me to be one management of men and another of beasts. Stranger. You have certainly divided them in a most straightforward and manly style, but you have fallen into an error which hereafter I think that we had better avoid. What is the error? I think that we had better not cut off a single small portion, which is not a species, from any larger portions. The part should be a species. To separate off at once the subject of investigation is a most excellent plan if only the separation be rightly made. And you were under the impression that you were right, because you saw that you would come to man. And this led you to hasten the steps. But you should not chip off too small a piece, my friend. The safer way is to cut through the middle, which is also the more likely way of finding classes. Attention to this principle makes all the difference in a process of inquiry. What do you mean, stranger? I will endeavor to speak more plainly out of love for your good part, Socrates. And although I cannot at present entirely explain myself, I will try as we proceed to make my meaning a little clearer. What was the error of which, as you say, we were guilty in our recent division? The error was just as if someone who wanted to divide the human race were to divide them after the fashion which prevails in this part of the world. Here they cut off the Hellenes, the Greeks, as one species, and all the other species of mankind, which are innumerable and have no ties or common language, they include under the single name of barbarians. And because they have one name, they are supposed to be of one species also. Or suppose that in dividing numbers you were to cut off 10,000 from all the rest, and make of it one species, comprehending the rest under another separate name. You might say that here too was a single class, because you had given a single name. Whereas you would make a much better and more equal and logical classification of numbers if you divided them into odd and even. Or if the human species, if you divided them into male and female, and only separated off Lydians or Thagaeans or any other tribe and arrayed them against the rest of the world, when you could no longer make a division into parts, which were also classes. Young Socrates. Very true, but I wish that this distinction between a part and a class could still be made somewhat plainer. Whether or not the stranger does make this plainer, we will have to wait until tomorrow to know. Thus far our scripture of the evening. Remember yesterday we said that, I said, and I think it was implied or explicitly stated in the text, that if you have kingly knowledge, you are a king in some way. Today he goes into what the kingly art is. We don't reach a conclusion yet, but I do think we've made some insightful observations. The kingly art, self-governance, ruling the self. following your own commands. I'm not sure exactly what that would mean. Because of course, if you want to do it well, you should also be considered successful among your peers. So it's not everyone just do as they pleases thing, I would think. If we look at the rest of Plato and Aristotle, it most definitely is not that. That is the second lowest form of government, the colorful cloak he refers to in the Republic, where everyone just do as they please. This would be more self-governance in the sense of ruling yourself in alignment with the virtues. Of course, Nietzsche is in the back of my mind, and the higher man, or the highest man, is not actually very fond of the higher men, which we encounter in Thus Sprach Zarathustra. The Superman. Who makes his own values and has life abundantly and joyfully. It is probably safer for us to stay within the domain of the Greeks. And let wisdom, which is one of the 4 cardinal virtues, be the measure by which a man leads himself. It also mentioned that the kingly art causes something to come into being, a genesis, something new. I will leave that for you to ponder. And something with living beings must be added. I wrote down the phrase that is almost out of tune with the rest of the passage in the context. When men have something to do together, they should be of one mind and forget about the rest. This is not the exact words. The first part is, basically, when men have something to do together, they should be of one mind. Something in me rebels against that, because yesterday I spoke of how opposites are needed. And so immediately I think of the parts and the whole. That in some sense, there's the unity of mind. maybe one common goal, one common star to which one aims. But then there's the parts. There are the parts. And whatever this is, and with this I mean life on earth, we do experience it as parts, not as the whole. So there must be something in the existence of parts. I, just before recording, noticed, because I was Googling books by Christopher Hitchens, that it was his birthday the night I didn't dream of him. He wasn't there. But I had to think of him because High Love was playing in the background. In my dream, not in real life. At least not in my real life. And it was just after midnight here, so it wasn't strictly speaking, because that was yesterday, the 14th. But it was still just before, well, around just after 11 in the UK, and he was born in the UK. So it was still his birthday in the UK. So that's strange. I have no conscious knowledge of his birthday until now. I was never really into him. I didn't know about him. So it's not that I disliked him, I just didn't know about him. I only read Dawkins in my 1 year of atheism. It's already a lot to read in 1 year when you're also still doing a full-time study. So that was interesting. And the whole being one and being parts. In my mind, that connects to it. I also need to show a book that I've shown before. This one, because I spoke about the primacy of and the centrality of, and this is the book. Vervaeke uses those terms, and he got it from D.C. Schindler. And I knew that I was going to forget that what I said is, this is going to be my own, the primacy of the sensual and the centrality of wisdom. So I wrote it in a place where I knew I would be able to find it. And I noticed on the same page is written Parmenides, nothing else. Just Parmenides. Apparently, I've been interested in Parmenides for a while. I will have to read that book a third time, it seems. So I've got work to do. I will leave you to go do my work. Hopefully yours is done for the day, and you can just be. And may the spirit of Sophia be with you.